my phone cut again, so I need a better computer. I need a newer iPad and a newer phone. My tools got broken by a problem, electric problem, where I rent an apartment here in St. Lambert at Achilles. I'm sorry. So Alec held me in his arm and said, "Look, I want you to go to sleep. I'll call you for sure tomorrow." And he was the most wonderful man on earth at that moment. We were exactly. It was so perfect and so compatible. So Alec left, and he called me the next morning, and I received the most strange text message ever. No, he called, and no, it's a text message, exactly, on my phone. That's why I think it's called, because so I received a text message, and he said, "From now on," that's how it starts. Like, really? "From now on, we're going to talk only on this email address." And he gives me a link. And once again, okay, okay, whatever. And he said, I won't take text message, or we're gonna talk through email. And the email address he gives me, it's not alecbaldwin.com. It's something that nobody could link this unless you're a pro with the computer, but nothing says Alec Baldwin in the labeling of the email address. And the message I receive is, "Okay, from now on, we're gonna contact each other by email and on that address." I didn't realize, because who would, seriously, that he didn't want to continue having confirmation of the intimacy we had, of making love, of everything we shared, linked to his phone number, either by phone or by text. He protected himself from the consequences of, because all the entire story, it's a damaged man that do nothing else but protect himself, and he protect himself and his daughter by protecting himself, because he can't afford to marry again, love again, trust again, for real. So he wants a mail order bride. I don't realize it. So, and the man was kissing me and making love to me, as it was the only reason why that happened was because I said no to the $10 million deal with the 2 apartments, with a CAA agent, with a driver, with whatever the story would be with the child. I said no to the deal. So from Alec's point of view, I was a wonderful person. I would never be his choice for mail order bride, as he believed I understood what we were talking about completely. I did not. And he said, "But I love her and I care for her, so might as well, have sex with her." And this is where everything shifted for me, because if after that meeting we didn't have sex, or we didn't kiss the way we loved each other, like, I felt so much tenderness and so much love in his touch and his kisses and everything we shared, it reinforced the message that he was interested. But for him, it was, I'm gonna express my emotion as a relief to myself, as I'm never gonna see her again. And thank God she didn't take the mail order bride, so I will move on and find another fish in the ocean who is desperate enough to sell her soul and her image for years and years to pretend to be my bride, as we're gonna play the happy couple and the big family with fake kids or adopted kids or pregnancy in a clinic. And we're gonna live in 2 separate apartments with a staircase. You see what I mean? And so he found another woman. He really did. And as he knew that he couldn't, I think he's a man with great sensitivity, and he's a great sense of, he's trapped. He's just a very damaged person with perhaps good education and good, I'm not defending my abuser. I'm just telling you what I perceive is this man was sincere, but he couldn't afford to be sincere. And I think he cared deeply. And it shows in his touch, and it shows in his kisses. And he knew that he couldn't cut talking with me right away because I knew his cell phone, I knew his address, I knew his email address. Now I knew his everything about him, that he already opened so much in order to propose the deal. And I did not know that because I perceived that I passed a test. It was trapped for me to pretend. I thought he wanted to know if I was there for money, fame, or if I was there for him. And I was there for him. And so he made love with me. See how my equation goes there? And his equation goes, well, she didn't take the deal, but I care for her, and she's attractive, and she's great, and I want to make love with someone that I care. So he did. And that's where he should have never done that. And he pretend up till now, in court, in the media, everywhere, he never said that we made love. He said, for me, it was a business meeting. And it was. And for me, initially, it was a business meeting, and it turned into a romance. For him, it was a mail order bride business meeting all the time. But not when I rejected, like I said, I would never do that. I would never do that. I know it happens in our business, but that's not me. I would never do that. And I'll tell you, because prior to that, I had a relationship with somebody very famous in Canada and in France. And it was, I'll tell you more in another video. Anyway, so I was aware that in the business, a lot of people do that. And I would have never thought that Alec would just, he maintained a conversation, he couldn't stop. But he cut Facebook. He stopped talking to me on my page, on my Facebook page. As prior, my friends could see Alec Baldwin appearing on my page, and he was making it on purpose to see how I react to my friends and my environment saying, oh, you know that big star. But the truth is, I don't react like that because I work with Al Pacino, and I worked with Aerosmith, and I've worked with Donald Sutherland, and I worked with Angelina Jolie and Denzel Washington and the Scarface producer. And, I'm not going to be impressed by that leverage. But he was trying it, and he could see that, no. So I think Alec got trapped in his own meeting that night, mail order bright evening, because he realized he cared. He realized that he loved me and that he cared very much. And he couldn't stop kissing me. He couldn't stop making love to me. And he wouldn't go. It took him hours and hours, and it took him all his strength to put a character saying, oh my, and right before he said, oh my God, I would never want to hurt you. And I was like, that's strange. Why would you hurt me? You love me. You care for me. I can feel it in your touch. I can feel it in your kiss. I know you're calling me every day. So that's what I see. And he took a character, like a very rigid, okay, I'm leaving, I'll call you tomorrow. And I was like, that's strange. And on and on and on, I could see that that's it. Everything, he stopped Facebook. He retracted his account completely from my list of friends on Facebook. He wanted to talk only in that email account. I'm not going to say the name here because I'm assuming it's still in I don't know. but I would provide it to the court. Of course I would. So the thing is, Alec was talking only in emails. He tried that. And I said, okay, so what time you're going to the Hampton? He said, I'm already in the Hampton, and I wish you a good weekend in New York. I was like, what? And I said, oh my God, and I'm going to say it textually, I said, oh my God, this guy is an AS, and he's the world champion. I was like, oh my God, he's the world champion. And that's it. I called other friends. I had a bunch of friends, the president of Cirque du Soleil, Guy Laliberté, and vice president, and many people I know from Cirque du Soleil. They were in town, and a friend of mine who writes the music for Cirque du Soleil. So I said, okay, I'll call those friends. I mean, my date went wrong, and I don't know what I did or what I said. And I tried to recall and put the pieces together, but I said, if what I said was wrong in a restaurant, then why would he kiss me that way? Or why would he love me that way that night, the entire night, and cuddle with me and say with tears in his eyes, I would never want to hurt you? So I was like confused. And instead of my Cirque du Soleil friends, I went to see Danielle, a friend of mine who's an architect in New York. And we went out for dinner with a journalist that is well known in Montreal, who is a friend of my friend Danielle. So that ended up being a journalist that covered my trial and demolished me completely. So how ironic the life is, I still think it's way too much, but it's called synchronicity, I guess. I don't know. So I went out with my friend Danielle, and I'm very close with Danielle for like decades. And when he saw me, I was trembling. And I said to him, I started crying in the middle of the restaurant. And he said, what's wrong? I said, somebody I love very much died. I didn't have enough time to absorb the humiliation, understand what happened, and then talk about it. And I couldn't keep my tears from running down. So I said, I'm going to go back to my hotel. I mean, I'm not going to stay here. He said, grab something to eat, grab something to eat. So I stayed a little bit, and I was in pieces, and I said, it went so bad. It went so bad. And that's where I couldn't say a word about what happened to me. I felt, and that's where I claim I'm a Me Too victim, because I was like, was he using me for sex? Was everything prior was an act? I was very confused. I didn't realize he wanted a deal and put money on the table and propose for real the apartment, for real a CIA agent, for real the 2-floor apartment linked with a staircase, for real building my career all the way, my acting career all the way to the top. And donating me money for that purpose, as I was supposed to on counterpart, just to be everything is wonderful, he's so great, he's such a great lover, we have good sex, he's fantastic with kids, he's fantastic at home, he's this, he's that, and bring a lot of attention here. My job was to bring a lot of new flavor, new attention. I was younger than Alex, so he would have done a good job and changed the image in order for Alec to continue working and go back into getting films like Mission Impossible and rebuild the money he lost, probably going back and forth to Los Angeles every 2 weeks, going to see his daughter for decades. And not working for a long time, like for 10 years, not really working. So perhaps Alec needed that to make a living and not file for bankruptcy. I don't know. But I know for a fact that now, after Ilaria came in the picture and she was cast as the order bride, she played the part that I was supposed to play, and she is from obscurity of being totally unknown to the public, never studied in acting, never played a part, never played a play, never took acting class, never worked in television, never worked in film. And then here she is, you know, on red carpet. And you would see, like, Alec is there and the interviewer talks, and she comes and saying something in between them, as she is there as a contractual mail order bride. And that's what I assume from my point of view, from my experience and from my story that happened. And you would see from 2011, 2012, how she grabs the microphone. And she wants to take every opportunity as a stepping stone, as she is there for that purpose. But Alec is not a victim, because he's also in the counterpart of the contract that he offered me was, I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna dress you up. You're not gonna need to work on being a waitress or something else while doing your casting. And Hilaria was working like 70 hours a week, and I have her schedule at Yoga Vida prior she met Alec, and prior everything started with her, and prior my injustice started, and suddenly she doesn't need that, and she moves in with Alec later on after my arrest. In 2012, and she doesn't need to buy furniture. She doesn't need to live in our friend's place in the room. She doesn't need to go to work as much as she did. He's paying the electricity. Alec is paying the apartment. He's paying the food. He's paying the clothing. And New York is one of the most expensive cities on earth. So it is extremely expensive to be in New York, and even the food is expensive, even like contrary to in Canada and Montreal. So she is under, for what I see and how I see her, she's married with him, but they always need to talk about their relationship. And when she does interview, or when she's done any contract or television interview, it's always about Alec. We just got married, we got engaged, we have a child, we have a child, we have a child, we have a child, we have a dog, we have, and it's always about, they're not quiet about it. They're in a contract to change the image of Alec and make the press believe all this. Here, well, in fact, here was the truth. And under the image, under the mask, Alec continued, and he couldn't stop contacting me and calling me. And that became extremely confusing for me. So I said to Alec, I said, who is that woman that you're starting to date with, as you call me? Sometimes he would call me at midnight. And I would see the next morning on internet that he was at the Emmy Award with her. So he started going out with Hilaria on his public deal appearances. But when he came back alone at home, he would call me for an hour. That tells a lot. And I think deep down he was craving love and affection and genuine. And he was craving what I was initially offering to him. But he didn't find the strength to allow that relationship to be. And he committed himself with the mail order bride that was pushing for more and more and more and more red carpets, interview, picture, Twitter. And they both built Twitter. I never had a Twitter before my arrest. I mean, I'm a very private person and reserved person, and I protect my privacy like this. And she was always on Twitter, and Alec was on Twitter, and he was always, Alec, if you notice, you could see, it was always, go follow my wife, my wife is amazing. And he would go to Letterman, and he would bring a picture of his wife. And it was always like, you could see, if you're in the business and you know it exists, you could see this marriage was a mail order bride association. It was a deal. Like, he has to mention her many times, and she's got to do this appearance, smiling and say everything is good at home while he's doing this. And from that, she rise all the way to fame, all the way to working as a paparazzi herself in extra TV and doing interviews, as she never learned or never studied that. But here she is, and she is getting CAA agent. And that went bing, bing, bing. Oh my God, and they moved in an apartment with 2 floors, separated by a staircase. And I'm like, oh my God, the deal he offered me was for real. It was not a test of my values. That's exactly what he was looking for. And because I said no, he proposed the deal to somebody else. Does Hilaria know that I received that deal? It looks like it. Because me, during that time, Alec continued to call me and continued to text me, continued to email me. And mostly email, but sometimes he couldn't help himself and he would call, see how I was doing, if I was dating somebody. And sometimes I said, yeah, I found somebody. I don't want to be with you anymore. Like, I don't want you to call me. I see you're dating somebody else, obviously. And I could see pieces of the puzzle. And he said, no, don't do that. Don't do that. I'm here for you. And he would call and he would